3, 2, 1. What's happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Here the Spirit, presented to you by NoleGameday.com. We're here live on a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday evening. Beezy's not feeling so well. It's not because of Florida State's loss to Miami, but it's also a sickness that he's going through. But he's still fighting through it. But we've got plenty to talk about this evening. We're going to get Beezy's take on that loss for Florida State to Miami Mario Cristobal. We got a quick hitters, about 3 or 4 of those tonight. Got one about Mario Cristobal taking a shot at Florida State after getting that win, and then Mike Norvell is having to already start talking about recruiting and transfer portal, looking ahead to December. He said he's got a plan in place. We'll discuss that. We're going to talk some NFL Noles Week 8, and then we've got a Florida State versus North Carolina preview and score predictions at the end of this. And then too, we got some new unis from Florida State basketball. With me this evening is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NG, and down below is Austin Veazey, our lead basketball and also football writer. How are we doing, gentlemen?
We're here. 4 games to go.
My tagline says it, the team stinks. I was enjoying myself.
You can put a worse adjective than that, please.
If you want me to, I can. But
let's try to hope that we keep it PG so we can maybe one day garner some sponsorships. Maybe one day.
I'll just leave it at that for now. It's accurate, but I was enjoying my Saturday night at a concert, but unfortunately it was raining at the concert. That's probably why I'm sick right now. But it was much better than watching that football game because I was suffering through that today. And it didn't help that I'm already under the weather. Then I'm watching Florida State football highlights, if you can even call them that. It's not it, man.
Was there a highlight video?
The Luke Kromenhoek 40-yard quarterback sneak. That was pretty cool.
All right. And then a couple Mastro punts.
The punts weren't in the highlight I watched, sadly.
Wow.
The ACC network cut those off.
Not going to have a lot of playing time there, I guess. For that video. Didn't take too long to watch that.
About 11 seconds.
Pretty much.
Ugh. Hey, did you happen to watch me and Dustin's not really so instant reaction?
All I know is when I got home at some ungodly hour, I think it was like 2 or 2:15 in the morning, the video had just gotten uploaded. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch that then.
Yeah. No, it didn't last too long while we were in the parking lot there. A whole different kind of world when it's Miami and that's their Super Bowl. So there was a lot of people having fun there. And even if we were able to have internet connection, I don't know how long it would have lasted anyways. But hey, we still did the show. It took about 45 minutes after we got a little Wawa trip in, and then came back, had some beers, and discussed this football team for 45 minutes while Tommy sat on the couch after we told him, it's only going to take 15, Tommy. Don't worry.
Tommy keeps peeking through the curtain like, what is going on?
Poor Tommy. He's just left by himself.
We're just talking about Florida State's offensive line and how awfully tragic it is, BZ. But before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you're on YouTube right now, smack that like button. It helps a ton. Go out to more FSU fans. If you want to listen to us on the audio version, make sure you check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. We're everywhere, so you can listen to us on your drive to work or if you're at the gym, et cetera, et cetera. But let's get started. What? People don't want to listen to us at the gym, VZ?
No, I was squinting at the stat sheet. I'll have to ask about this.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But let's go ahead and jump into, I'm sure it's got to lead into Florida State versus Miami. The Seminoles are now 1-7. And I got a question too for you, VZ, once we get started here. But jump us through after looking at this game and go ahead and give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think at least early on, the defense was playing well enough to keep Florida State in the game. Obviously, there were some situations that you'd like to have back, like giving up a 3rd and 20 to a throw to the flat and a couple other long 3rd down gains for Miami. But for the most part, a lot of Cam Ward's throws were, real quick actions, nothing really down the field. And Florida State just couldn't tackle, and then they were getting obliterated in the run game, kind of the theme of the season so far. And offense, also a theme of the season, couldn't get anything going whatsoever. It wasn't until Luke Kromenhoek breaking loose a few runs that to even get in the end zone. But It's kind of like the Memphis game to begin the season and a couple of other games where the defense was at least playing well enough, especially against Miami, which we were talking about last week. I mean, number one scoring offense in the country, number one passing offense in the country, and you hold Cam Ward to just over 200 yards passing. That's a pretty productive game overall. All things considering, got a little out of hand, and score could have looked much worse if Miami was able to convert some of those field goals into touchdowns. But at least in the first 3 quarters, I thought Florida State's defense did enough, and then the train came off the tracks a little bit, and the offense couldn't get anything going. It's been the theme of the season.
Yeah, I was really confused looking back on it, and we talked about it, Logan, during the game as well. But some of the defensive backfield alignments, I mean, it was obvious pretty early on that Miami was trying to take advantage of that short passing game, like you mentioned, Austin, and multiple times, and it happened on that 3rd and 20 that Miami converted as well. You have your DB, 8 to 10 yards off the football, and then they're having to go up there and make a tackle in space. And Miami went at Fintrell early, realized that was something that they could take advantage of. And, you kind of saw it time and time again. And even into the second half, on one of those plays, Quindarius Jones was covering a route over the middle, and he was pretty far back off pre-snap. So just seemed like something that Florida State didn't adjust to throughout that football game. But I've got 4 numbers for you guys. Ooh. 156. That is the total snap count for Patrick Payton, Marvin Jones Jr., and Joshua Farmer combined in this game. 1. That's the combined tackles.
Nice.
From those 3 players.
I did want to say real quick, I thought Darrell Jackson played okay. I think it was probably his best game of the season. Got some pass rush finally. We've been waiting on him to show up, so at least he showed up against his former team.
Yeah, I didn't mention him because, like you said, this was his best performance of the season, and we'll see if maybe that's something he can build off here in the final 4 games. But yeah, to wrap this up, 101. This is the snap count for Sione Lolohea, Daniel Lyons, Byron Turner Jr., and KJ Sampson, and 13, the combined tackles from those 4 players. And actually, KJ Sampson, 6 tackles on just 17 snaps. I mean, he's got 6 times more tackles than Peyton, Jones Jr., and Farmer combined in 17 snaps.
It's not ideal. Not ideal.
Absolutely not. That's awful.
It feels like a made-up number. I refreshed the box score. I checked European and stat broadcast. I'm like, there's no way. Well, that's what happened. In a rivalry game, 3 of your 4 of that vaunted Florida State defensive line did not show up.
Vaunted my ass. They suck.
I thought Marvin Jones Jr. was in Miami and be around a lot of his home.
Well, he got the tackle. He got the tackle at least.
Oh, he got the tackle. Okay, there you are. I say it every week. I don't know where number 7 is, anyways.
I'm sure you saw the discussion on Twitter where Patrick Payton's an elite special teams player, like 9th in the country for special teams players, and it's like 460th as a pass rusher.
I could work on special teams in the league somewhere potentially, but yeah, no, that's a tragic stat that you brought up there, D-Lou, and we kind of missed this because we have been talking heavily about the offense, and we're at the point now where the offense is so we're talking historically, not just bad. It's like historically, tragically bad that we're like, oh well, the defense is at least playing well. They're not fully yet. You relied on a lot of your DBs playing well, and you're able to limit Cam Ward and those more explosive plays that we've seen him play with the Hurricanes this year. But still, this some of your key players there that you expect so much more out of aren't there. They're not bringing what you thought we would see going into the season, not even close to the caliber. I mean, I named Marvin Jones Jr. as Defensive Player of the Year for Florida State. I feel like I'm on a lot of different things right now. What did we do in Miami, Dustin? Probably a little too much, but no, it's tragic. That stat is awful to think of. And you know what? If that ends up being the case, I think it's time to push in and let's get even some more of those younger guys or some of those guys that are in the 2 deep with opportunities like Sione Lolohea, Sampson as well, who, Dustin, you were talking highly of him in the end of fall camp. He was making strides. Like, if that's going to be the case, then time to rotate those guys around and get those two deeps with the ones more.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe the defensive output looks okay on paper. I mean, limiting Miami to under 300 passing yards, but they didn't have to throw the ball to win this game. I mean, they ran it all over Florida State with both of their running backs. And then you look at it situationally. You know, we mentioned the 3rd and 20. Florida State gave up a 3rd and 21 as well. Miami did pretty well on 3rd down in this game, 5 of 5 in the red zone. So it's not as good as maybe it looks on paper. I mean, it was definitely a struggling effort for the Seminoles in this football game on both sides of the ball. But with how bad the offense does look, you know, you try to take a little bit of a bright spot out of it defensively. You know, I did think Edwin Joseph showed up in a big way for Florida State, a big hit in there. You know, we mentioned him after the game, Logan, but Omar Graham Jr. thought this was probably his best performance in a Florida State uniform. And, you know, he did a really good job covering Xavier Restrepo on that pass to the end zone, getting a hand on it. So, you know, we'll hope that he can kind of build off that moving forward. It seems like he's got some confidence back, something that he talked about after the game. So, I mean, there are little things that you can pick and choose on defense where you're like, all right, well, maybe this can be a little bit of a positive for Florida State to build on. But, you know, as a whole and consistently, it's got to be so much better. I mean, the whole product.
I would also like to shout out Azaria Thomas because it seemed like they didn't want to target him whatsoever. And he's building up a lot of steam with some of the fake Twitter NFL draft scouts. But it's kind of been the theme of the season where teams just do not want to throw at him whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to that point, sorry to cut you off, Logan, but Florida State, 84 defensive snaps in this ball game. AZ was on the field for 83 of them. So, I mean, that is insane stamina and durability for him to play so much football. And I thought he
deep routes and everything like that too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he was
what Cam Ward and them like to do with this offense.
He was getting after it, and you know, he was, and him, Omar Graham Jr., some guys like that. Those are the guys that I thought on Saturday night. You know, those were a few of the players who actually cared, and there were some other ones out there where I think you can question their effort and the intensity they showed.
VZ, going to the quarterback position real quick, who do you think? And of course, this is all going to depend on what Mike Norvell wants to do at the end of the day and redshirt stuff, blah, blah, blah. But still, just from a quarterback perspective, what do you feel gets the offense going in a better rhythm?
There is no better rhythm. This offense stinks. Like Brock Glenn was 5 of 18 for 54 yards, and 3 of those completions are on the final drive when Miami just completely gave up. And then Luke Kromenhoek was 6 of 14 for 61 yards. It's not like he's laying the world on fire. There is no lighting a fire under this offense. There is no better rhythm. I think I hate 2 quarterback systems, but it's one of those that they may just have to do it to give them reps going into this offseason just to get some stuff on film, see some things to work on, because I'm completely past the point of this offense finding any sort of positive momentum.
Because
it's gone.
What's up front?
Just everything. The play calling, the offensive line, the receivers, just none of it is near good enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in sync, and it's what we've seen the entire season for Florida State. You know, there have been some very short flashes here and there, but for the most part, this offense, whether it's through the air or on the ground, they haven't been able to get anything going. And when they do, they shoot themselves in the foot, whether it's a penalty, giving up a sack, a drop pass, a lot of those. It's not a pretty product, and there's nothing that Florida State can do at this point to fix this in the final 4 games. It is what it is. I mean, they're going to have to live with what they're putting out there on the field, and you know, this offensive line, it continues to get more banged up. Obviously, we didn't see Darius Washington go last week, and then during the game, it seemed like Jalen Early might have got banged up. He got replaced in the second half by Keandre Jones. And, you know, you have to wonder, as far as Robert Scott, he's obviously a guy who's dealt with various injuries throughout his career at Florida State. And after playing 63 of the 64 offensive snaps last week, you know, how well is he going to be able to recover throughout this one to be available for Saturday afternoon? So, you know, once again, it could end up being a line of moving parts in Florida State. 7 different offensive line starting combinations combinations in 8 games, and you think about all the injuries in the backfield. Cam Davis not able to go last week. We'll see if he's able to suit up for this one. Didn't get any injury updates really from Mike Norvell over the last 3
Shocking.
days. So they're struggling. They're beat up. They've got a lot of young guys getting thrust in there. Obviously, a quarterback and tight end the most, but we did get to see a good stint from LaWayne McCoy, BJ Gibson, and Elijah Moore last game. And McCoy got his first catch. I know Gibson and Moore both had drops, but I think you've got to continue to just get those younger guys in, the guys that are going to be here after December as much as possible at this point.
Mario Cristobal, after this game, went into the recruiting chamber here and got his chance at finally being able to beat Florida and FSU here, and
they got USF and FAMU.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, that's the real big
true. They're the true state champs here. Mario Cristobal says all recruits in state, out of state can now clearly see that the trajectory of this program versus the trajectory of other programs. Obviously, throwing some shade and some shots, subtweeting over to FSU and all the other schools across the state after getting that first win against Mike Norvell and FSU. He's an interesting one. Mario Cristobal is very interesting.
I don't like him.
And you can easily kind of read him in press conferences. Like, we spent a little bit of time before the game on Saturday. We pulled him up in the Airbnb, just watching some stuff on how he was prepping for this game against FSU. And he's very easy to read. And, he's got to take his chances right here as much as he can, because a lot of this team for Miami is going to be gone after this season, including Cam Ward, who's keeping them going here and putting up points. But Mario Cristobal taking some shots there. Do you think it's going to work on the recruiting trail potentially?
I mean, maybe, because they're going to have to pay a lot of money to get those guys down there to Coral Gables or Miami Gardens or wherever it is. But it's an interesting comment. Miami did win this game, but it's the first victory that Mario Cristobal has recorded over FSU. And, it probably wasn't exactly the dominant outing that Cristobal and the Hurricanes expected going into Saturday night. Probably one of the best Miami teams that we've seen in the last 2 decades, going up against arguably the worst Florida State team in program history, and at least in the last 50 years. And still only able to come out of it with a 22-point victory, and some of that was garbage time. Miami scored that early touchdown in the fourth quarter, decided to go for 2, and then obviously got the ball back a little bit, a couple minutes after that, and then were able to get that long run that turned into a touchdown. So I don't know. I don't know if it necessarily, quote unquote, flips the state like he thinks, and that it changes the trajectory of how these programs are viewed. But Florida State, after losing this one, it's not pretty. I mean, this is not a rivalry game that you want to lose, and to lose this badly, obviously. And, it's not something the fan base, the boosters, anyone is going to be happy about with the result. And, we'll see if Mike Norvell and his staff are able to make the changes necessary this offseason to flip that back in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know if trajectory is the word I'd use. No one's arguing that Miami's the best team in the state this year. I mean, it's undebatable. They've beaten everybody they've played, but trajectory is so ambiguous. I mean, if you just look 4 months ago, everyone's thinking Florida State's clearly on the best trajectory in the state, and then you see the results on the field. So it really just depends how Miami will come out next season without Cam Ward and some of these other guys like Cristobal out there. If they kind of fall back down to earth a little bit next year to 7-5, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. And I also don't think anyone's going to be surprised if they completely flame out in the ACC championship or the playoffs, because, they're 8-0 right now, but it's not a very good 8-0.
No, that's what I was talking with the guys about after the game. Like, it's pretty clear that this Miami team isn't that phenomenal. I think they're going to have a wake-up call if they get up there to Charlotte, and definitely once they get in that playoff berth. But still, nonetheless, you go and you beat Florida State, but you beat a really, really, really historically bad football team.
Really, the easiest way of looking at it that way is just look 2 years ago. A Florida State team that was good, not great, playing a Miami team that was below average, and Florida State smoked them 45-3. That Miami team was a lot better than the Florida State team that we're seeing, and they got absolutely smoked. So it's not exactly confidence building if you're a Miami fan.
On the flip side, Mike is having to go into recruit mode and try to save a lot of these guys, D-Lou, because they're starting to thin out. They're starting to leave a little, except for those offensive linemen. They're holding it down there in that 2025 class, but still, nonetheless, though, Florida State is having to do a lot of saving right now on the recruiting trail. Now with the 1-7 season, he got asked about the recruiting perspective going into the rest of the season and to the offseason as well. And he said, obviously, you can look at the record, you can look at the performance and see that as something that could potentially push some players away. But then some guys see the opportunity to come in, be a difference, and be a difference maker in what we're doing and where we're going. It's still about finding the right guys. I also said they didn't come here because the record was good. They came here because they saw the opportunity to be a difference maker.
Right.
You know, one thing about this message, you're going back to when he first arrived, gentlemen. I mean, don't blame him here, but it sucks. You can not say, hey, you're here to play for ACC championships. You're here to go win a national title. You're here to help me now rebuild. And I'm not, getting onto him, but I'm just put us in perspective here where he is. This is what we heard when he first arrived in Tallahassee. It's a reset mode for them, which is bad, but I don't think you could go into a full reset mode going into your 6th year after the season that you had last year. That's not the perspective that I don't think that this program should be having, or, Mike Norvell. This is a team that going into next year, I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm getting from these messages. And, he can't help it. He's got to say these things, but it's definitely brings back memories, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what message do you give them at this point?
No, that's what I was trying to think today when writing our outline here. I don't know. I don't want to be in his shoes for this because I don't know what you are telling families, what you're telling recruits, what are you telling these offensive linemen? I mean, that's about the easiest thing. But if you're going to recruit offensive linemen, if you need something in the trenches from the transfer portal, let's say
you do.
But who's your offensive line coach? That's where I'm, I can't develop you. Come, we might be able to throw you a bag, blah, blah, blah. I can't get you developed, though, no matter if you're a recruit or a transfer portal. And you really need transfer portal guys. That's where I got to try to figure out what is Mike telling him? And we're going to get to where Mike says he has a plan. But how do you think this is working for the recruiting trail? How do you do this?
It's not working well. I mean, look at the returns on the high school class since the season began. I mean, obviously the message isn't clicking as much anymore, and obviously the results on the field weigh a ton on recruits' minds. And we saw it last week. I don't think we've talked about this yet, but Florida State, they lost the final wide receiver piece in their 2025 class. But
really
CJ Wiley. Yeah, CJ Wiley, one of the top-rated players in FSU's class, regardless of position, but the top-rated wide receiver recruit reopens his recruitment, shortly after Florida State was defeated by Miami over the weekend. And a couple months ago, Florida State had arguably the top wide receiver class in the country, and now Dalen McCutcheon, Malik Clark, and now Wiley all back. Well, 2 of them have committed to other programs and Wiley reopening things, but no longer in Florida State's class. And, you've lost some other guys as well. And I think Florida State, they're going to lose another one in the next couple of days. A guy we've talked about on here before, 4-star tight end Chase Lofton, Nebraska native, committed to FSU over Nebraska. He's expected to officially visit the Huskers this weekend. And there's already some recruiting predictions going in for him to make that flip and stay in state. And why wouldn't he? I mean, why would you go out of state at this point to go play for a 1-7 team that's, probably going to end the season 2-10? I mean, if they beat Charleston Southern, Let's be honest. What kind of message do you really have to sell? The climb, it's fallen off. I mean, I don't know how you continue to build behind that with the drastic shift that we've seen this year. Like you said, the potential changes on the assistant coaching staff that we could see in Tallahassee. It's a weird predicament for Florida State, and I'm as interested as everybody else to see how they navigate this over the next couple of months.
Trying to see what else he said here. Also, at the end of this, said the right guys are going to show up, and the right guys are going to be part of getting this program back to where it deserves to be and where we all expect it to be. Those are the ones I'm looking for. The right ones will say yes, and they'll come in here, work their butts off, and it'll be a great story to see. Great story to see.
Sounds like 3 stars to me.
Well, Mike Norvell does have a plan, though. You tweeted this out, and it went crazy on Twitter.
I know. Wow.
I don't know if that was FSU Twitter or Miami Trolls. UF's getting a little bit of chatter since they've won. As long as they've won more games than FSU, they get to come in and troll a little bit. But definitely the Miami fan base. But I wouldn't be shocked too if Florida State's Twitter reacted heavy to this, but this is Mike Norvell's plan. He said this is going to be a critical offseason for us. Come December, we have a plan. He said he's not reevaluating his role as being FSU's play caller, or isn't against reevaluating his role as the FSU's play caller. He said for me specifically, it's about what's best for the football team. So isn't against reevaluating his role as FSU's play caller. And come December, there's a plan, gentlemen. There's a plan. What do you think consists of the plan? VZ has one in mind. VZ has one. VZ's got one.
I don't know about the plan.
Oh, no, I know. I've got a plan. Fire everything into the sun. Everything. Every single person in that building. But I think the obvious answer
everybody. What are you saying? Are you saying Mike Norvell's firing everybody? You're not saying everybody's getting fired.
At this point, I don't care. Just fix it. But I think the obvious answer is just look at the recruiting class. Dustin was just mentioned there's no receivers committed, so you have to think Dugans is probably going out the door. Your 4-star tight end's about to leave. He's probably out the door. You don't have any edge rushers committed. I don't think they have any linebacker. Or they have 1 3-star linebacker committed. I think that's where you're going to see some of the early glimpses where these players are getting told, hey, your position coach probably isn't going to be here next year. And these are the positions that aren't heavily being recruited and likely going to be out the door. That probably means bad news for the offensive line that Atkins will still be there. But I know Norvell is going to want to keep those guys in that class.
But I will say, just touching on what he said about potentially reevaluating his duties as a play caller, I thought that was very interesting. I don't think that's really something that we have heard in the past, and especially when you think back to the end of that Jimbo Fisher tenure, and we're talking about the stubbornness, and he was unwilling to make those coaching changes, unwilling to give up the play calling duties, and obviously didn't work very well with the administration at Florida State either. Mike Norvell, it seems like, at least publicly, he's saying that he's willing to adapt, willing to change, and we'll see what he decides to do when those. We'll see. I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
there's not really much you can change right now. So, I mean, let's give it till the end of the season and give him an actual chance to make some of those switches, because now's the time. If it doesn't happen, I mean, his tenure at Florida State, it's obviously not going to last very much longer.
I'm calling coach speak. I think he's just saying it to get some of the media pressure off his back in this moment. And then come the Alabama game next year, he'll be play card in his hand right here, calling 3 wide receiver screens to start the game.
It wouldn't surprise me, but hey, let's at least maybe he'll do some of those evaluations, and then maybe he'll think, it's in FSU's best interest for him to continue calling plays. So, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of different ways for Florida State to go here, and it could very well be coach speak, but I will say this Monday press conference, I thought that was the most decisive and confident that I've heard Mike answer these questions in quite some time. And, it was a little bit concerning to, see some of that demeanor attitude change over the last couple of weeks, and it felt like the Mike Norvell everybody knows the last couple of days. So I wonder if this loss to Miami, I'm sure he heard that dig from Cristobal at the end of that press conference. I wonder if that lit that fire a little bit more.
Sure, a little bit of that fire too. And Michael Alford said we're going to light that thing up a little bit more too, and we're going to make sure we make some offseason moves in that assistant coaches department, because they're going to have to make some changes. And I do give him credit for saying that out loud. He could have easily just, bounced that off and said, no, I'm going to continue my role as being Florida State's play caller. But I think it's interesting that he did say that out loud and said, for us and for me specifically, it's about what's best for this football team, after getting asked about that. So who knows? A lot of things most certainly have been coach speak from Mike, but I think it is interesting to me. And, airwaves it goes out there, and Florida State is going to look for someone to come in and take that role. That word is out there right now on October 30th, and offseason is definitely going to come sooner for Florida State, but it's time to start working on that plan that we have written down there below. Let's go talk about some NFL Noles. Why don't we, gentlemen? Because it's been a fun one, and to be honest, it's being led by the former Heisman winner, 2013 national champion, Jameis Winston. We were previewing this game a little bit on here. Y'all are laughing at me. Y'all are laughing at about Jameis Winston starting. It could be the era in Cleveland. Imagine he gets it going. No way it could happen against the Ravens. They're the hottest team in the league. Sure enough, it does. He takes down the Baltimore Ravens. He goes 27 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a QB rating of 115.2. He has the game-winning touchdown there, and Jameis fashion, almost getting it picked off the play before.
That's so funny.
And then the next play, bomb, 30-plus yard touchdown deep. And the crowd there just goes absolutely insane. And we get phenomenal interviews from Jameis that are just going all across social media. While FSU is struggling so severely bad, Jameis has come back to save the FSU fan base, to give them something where it doesn't completely ruin their weekends that FSU played the way that they did. Jameis Winston balling in the league. That's the best present you can have.
Yeah, at least you can halfway enjoy your Sunday, unless you're a Ravens fan. But it was an interesting experience, especially for me, because I was trying to watch this on a stream on the drive back up from Miami, and it got to that play where Jameis went to throw the touchdown, and he's in the gun. He takes the snap. He goes to throw deep. He's got his arm cocked behind his head, and the stream freezes. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Always happens that way. It's just like UFC. It freezes, and they're going for the shot, and you're like, no, that's it.
That's when the knockout happens, yeah. But, that's when the touchdown happens. It loads back up a couple seconds later. It says touchdown, and I'm like, you've got to be joking that I missed that one.
Joe Rogan's going crazy. Oh, my God. No way. That's just –
But, man, it's a heck of a moment. I mean, Jameis, backup quarterback for Deshaun Watson all this season, finally gets his opportunity. His first start in an NFL game, I believe, since 2022. Goes out there, lights it up. First Browns quarterback to have over 200 passing yards in a game this season. Like you said, he got well over 300. And the first time this season, the Browns have scored over 20 points offensively. So, it really seemed like Jameis was able to open some things up for a Cleveland team that was really struggling. I mean, 1-6 going in that game against Baltimore. Like you said, Logan, the hottest team in the league, had scored 30-plus points in 4 straight outings, coming off a Monday Night Football victory over Tampa on the road. I mean, that's a big win for Jameis, and hopefully him and that team will be able to take some momentum, just carry that forward.
It was a very typical Jameis game-winning touchdown, because they really only needed 7 yards to set up his college teammate for a game winner, Dustin Hopkins. Instead, he goes, F it, 40-yard touchdown. It's the Cedric Tillman.
I love it, though. I mean,
he's so entertaining. It's just who Jameis is. And I'm glad he got the win. I won't say the Ravens were the hottest team in the league, but they're definitely one of them. And it's good to see the Browns fan base get a little bit of joy after dealing with Deshaun Watson for the last year and a half.
Who else is hotter than Detroit Lions?
The Lions.
I don't really call the Chiefs the hottest, but
the Lions are definitely the hottest team right now.
Yep, but it's was a great win, and whenever you're going against, you just saw right off the bat in the first series of Jameis, he was just connecting, guys making plays too as well, and you just had Mari Cooper just traded, gone. So it just goes to show Jameis, a lot of these players, I think it's more of the pivotal factor of these guys on his team want to play harder for him, and that showed in this game as well. And it just energizes you on both sides of the field as well. Another player that had a good game as well. Shout out to Jarian Jones. He's a Spear alum, secured his first career interception against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Was a beautiful play made. I think it was on a deep out route. It might have been one of their tight ends, but stayed there, bit on the route, and they were nearing the red zone, or were in the red zone, and picked it off. And really good play there from Jarian.
Yeah, he's been having a solid rookie year, and really good to see for Jarian Jones after everything he went through during his Florida State career, and to kind of flip things around from a tough start and become someone that was beloved whenever things ended in Tallahassee at the conclusion of last season. And it seems like he's just continued to ride that upward trajectory and flash for the Jaguars. So good for him.
And then Jared Verse and Jarian Jones on PFF's top 15 graded rookies. No shocker there from Jared Verse, but shout out to Jarian, like we were just talking about him. Jared Verse has been an absolute menace for offenses.
He killed us.
As you do know, VZ. I love the skull chant that he did.
Someone tagged me on Twitter, goes, "How do you feel about this?" I'm like, well, they tried to block him with tight ends, so I understand him being a little cocky about it. It made sense. And then once Darisaw got hurt there at the end of the first half, he was just eating the backup alive, as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe they tried to put the two tight ends on Jared Verse. Are you kidding me?
And listen, Josh Oliver, great blocking tight end. You don't stand a chance against Jared Verse. Let's just be honest.
Are you kidding me? I mean, that's just absolutely awful by the Vikings. But I also noticed as well, if we're talking about PFF, Renardo Green, highest graded defender for the San Francisco 49ers this past weekend.
Nice. Dude, he's finding his stride there.
He's gotten some opportunities because they've been dealing with some injuries, and he's making the most out of it like we knew he would.
Yeah, and they've been pleased with using him there, and I wouldn't be shocked as we get into this latter halfway point for the 49ers. He's just going to only garner so many more opportunities because he's making plays, and he recorded that interception a couple weeks ago too. So he's in the right spots at the right time. Need to credit too as well another team that's hot, Buffalo Bills, with Keon Coleman and Josh Allen. He recorded a touchdown, I believe it was on the first drive of the game. He had 5 receptions on 7 targets for 70 yards. So in the last 2 weeks, almost 200 yards in total for him in the last 2 weeks for Keon Coleman. That rhythm, as we expected, whenever we saw him get drafted at the start of that second round, going to Josh Allen, I think all of the FSU fan base was happy about that because, Josh Allen's playing some really good ball too right now, taking care of the ball more importantly, but those two are connecting very nicely. And, you lost Stephon Diggs if you're a Bills fan, and he's now over with the Texans, who just actually suffered an ACL injury and is out for the rest of the season. Keon Coleman has come in for that Diggs role and is rolling for the Bills up there.
He's really started to come on a lot stronger ever since Buffalo made that trade for Amari Cooper a couple of weeks ago. Just seems like that addition has kind of opened things up a little bit more for Keon, and obviously, just continuing to get more game reps with Josh Allen, building that chemistry. Buffalo, they're playing some good football right now, and Keon Coleman will see if he's able to keep this up throughout the remainder of the season.
They've got a solid receiver trio because you haven't even mentioned Khalil Shakir, who had another very good game Sunday. It's a talented wide receiver core, and Keon's just adding to it, and he's getting better every single week. Kind of seems like he got off to a rough start at the beginning of the season because, he's a rookie. Rookie things happen. Josh Allen's bringing him along as we all expected he would.
And my Steelers, Russell Wilson, man. Oh, man. I never tweeted that thing about you after your first couple of drives. I never said that. I won't delete it though. I'm not a sissy, but yeah, I never said those things, or I regret saying them, and I eat my words. But lead me to the promised land, baby. Bye week. Ben Roethlisberger's loving what you're doing. Run game. Najee's getting 100 plus. Defense is defense. TJ Watt's the best player in football that we've seen in our lifetime.
I don't know about that.
I'm feeling pretty good. How about that Hail Mary though? That was big for our Washington Commanders side over there at Commanders Game Day.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious. Definitely with the DB celebrating for the Bears before the ball got to, even before the ball, like, was just celebrating the whole time. I think during the initial 10 seconds before Jaden Daniels threw it.
And not only was he celebrating, former Miami player. Makes it even better.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson, Miami guy.
And also a little bit earlier in that game, you know, he had been going back and forth with it with Terry McLaurin, and during like a little altercation, he like shoved an offensive lineman in the face, got a personal foul penalty, and then McLaurin was shouting some words we can't repeat from the sideline to him. Yeah, it was a pretty heated moment, and then for that to happen at the end of the game, poetic justice, baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's jump into this FSU versus North Carolina preview. The Tar Heels come in 4-4 on the season. How are we feeling about this one going into it? You know, I'm reading up on the practice reports, D-Lou. I'm wondering where the fight might come from if they're, you know, you just lost to Miami. What is there to fight for anymore? You weren't, you know, you're not going to go to a bowl game. You gotta fight right. Real quick, some quick stats though. UNC is ranked 29th in the country in points per game. They're scoring on average 32.3. On another note, though, they're 99th in the country in yards allowed per game with 400.
That won't matter.
I was waiting for someone to say that. Like, I was writing it down. I was like, someone's definitely going to jump in.
Yeah, they'll cut that average in half this game.
Here's one that concerns me the most, and this is where it kind of solidifies my prediction for this upcoming weekend. I mean, it already was leaning in a certain direction, but going this afternoon and writing this down, it just said, okay, I know who I'm picking on Saturday. Because I was kind of in a 50-50 spot, to be honest with you. But here's the deal. UNC is averaging 3.3 sacks per game.
Yep.
They just performed and had 10 sacks against Virginia. They're ranked number 7 in the country, but just came off of a 10-sack game against Virginia. And I don't want to look at I don't know if there's even offensive line rankings out there, but Florida State's offensive line is going to be worse than Virginia's. That does it for me, gentlemen. I don't really need to look at more. I don't need to look at who Cristobal is throwing to. I don't need to know how many yards the running back has. Reggie Bush is on it.
You didn't even mention their best player, Marion Hampton, who already has 1,000 yards on the season.
Yeah,
with 4 games left to play. Like North Carolina, if we're being frank, North Carolina, not a good football team. Florida State, an even worse football team.
Yeah. Like we're in this tier. So you went against Miami. Good. Okay, good. Going back down to the bottom tiers again, but still FSU is at the very, very bottom tier, right?
Oh, for sure.
At the bottomest.
They're like below the bottom tier.
And just because North Carolina has 4 wins, their 4 wins are against Virginia, Minnesota, Charlotte, and North Carolina Central. Mm-hmm. None of those are good football teams. Not a single one. And all of those were dogfights, except the NC Central game. But that was an FCS team. Those are your dogfights. It's not a good football team, and they'll still win by at least 10 points.
Yeah, I think Logan nailed the 2 most important numbers in his opener there. The sacks per game that their defense is picking up, and then also 33.9 points per game. And North Carolina has scored 30+ in 6 of their 8 games. That kind of wraps it up for me. I mean, Florida State can't even get to 20.
5 of their 8 games, unless I'm missing something.
Well, that's 5 more than FSU.
No, for sure. But yeah.
Thanks for the fact check.
You're welcome.
That's why Beezy's there. That's all. We missed you in Miami, VZ.
No, you didn't.
Because I missed seeing y'all two go at it on correcting each other. Because I'm just like sitting there, just like, give me another beer.
So what you're saying is Dustin messed up a lot, and I wasn't there to correct him.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
makes sense.
I just don't say anything. I just let him say whatever he needs to say.
That's fair. I mean, it's understandable.
Mm.
He's got a big ego. You got to let him go sometimes.
You got to let me lie to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Tommy's just sitting there too. Tommy's Tommy though. He's just sitting there, just here with us, hanging out, doing his thing. But yeah, no, those stats stand out to me the most. And just, Florida State's going to have to score, and how are they going to do it with, I know North Carolina, boom, they go up the rankings, they go up to number 7 because they got 10 against Virginia. But shit, that's a hot pass rush at a bad time for Florida State, and you don't have any protection for your young quarterback, or if you have both in their quarterbacks. So, there's just nothing to like there in those stats when you're looking at Florida State, and they can combat these things, and they just can't right now. And they haven't even showed us improvement since week 0. Like, that's one thing that I'm like, I want to make all these YouTube video and clip these YouTube stuff. I want to clip all this YouTube from here, the spear, but I can't clip anything much of positive. It's all negative, and I can't be like, hey, look,
sometimes negative gets the clicks too.
Yeah, no, it is. Now I'll give it that. It's definitely bringing in the engagement, and it's good to have the conversation, the live chat, and the comments. But I want to throw in some optimistic stuff, so then that doesn't just look like our whole library on YouTube is just full of just depression. But that's kind of how it is. But the show stays rolling here, and with the show
Dollar Tree
rolling,
VZ, hold on.
What happened?
What is Tommy saying about Dollar Tree VZ? What happened?
Tommy's Dollar Tree VZ.
Oh, Tommy's in here roasting a little bit. Dollar Tree
himself.
Not aimed at me. It was about another podcast. What did I miss?
Oh, whoa, hold up. Whoa. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I know what Tommy's talking about.
What did I miss?
I don't.
Yeah, you will remember in a second, Dustin, but you were also intoxicated. So I don't know if you remember fully. It was a late night on Saturday.
Well, I guess I'll find out after the show when Logan decides to tell me.
Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely tell you. I think it's safe to keep
yeah. I get it. I get it.
Hey, we got it. But we'll hit you with it, VZ. Don't worry after here. We're definitely not going to. But hold up, this isn't. Hold on, we got to get our best.
No, he messed up the segment.
Go ahead and think it. Go ahead and start thinking. Go ahead and start thinking these best bets, because we went 2 of 3, gentlemen. 2 of 3 last week. We got Damian Martinez anytime touchdown. We got Restrepo under 90.5. We should have slammed the living F out of that, man. He was on clamps from Florida State's secondary in this game, and should I say Omar Graham Jr.
Yep.
So give me first possession punt. Give me Omarion Hampton over whatever his rushing total is. It could be 200. I'm saying over.
Hold up. We didn't get our over though. 54.5. We did not get that right.
I don't care about the Miami game now. I'm over it.
It's our record. It's our record. This is a personal thing. This isn't about Florida State.
This one 50.5 over.
I am actually well under.
Oh, you're well under. Oh, whoa. I got to make a decision here.
Which, for what it's worth, I've been way off on predictions all year. So,
do we want to do any spread here real quick? North Carolina?
Yeah, -2.5 for sure.
Let's wait on that. You want
Okay,
to go to alternate spread? Or not alternate spread. You want to go to total points on the alternate here? And go to 40.
Again, I'm well under, so.
Oh, you're well under.
Are you under 40?
Yeah.
Christ's sake.
I don't know, man. Let's just we'll go. I'm down to go to 47.5. That's still plus 130. I'll take that.
Isn't that for the under?
That's under though, yeah.
All right, I'll take -166.
Unless you got the under.
Yeah, it depends what you have.
I think the game has a. I don't want to. What is this again? What was the regular? I want to stay like 50-ish. Like maybe I'll just stay at 50.5.
Stay up.
Look, I can stay at the under at 50.5.
You got under or over?
Actually, hold on.
Or we could just not put a point total.
This is the under over here. What are y'all talking about?
Correct.
Yeah.
The under's to the right, the over's to the left.
Logan is absolutely lost right now.
52.5.
Okay.
Under. Does that work with you, Dustin?
No.
You think it's going to go over, huh?
Oh, actually, wait. I think mine's at 51. So
If anybody has any locks to put in the chat, please.
Lock, first possession point.
All right, I'm going.
we need a log to actually hit one of these.
Game specials. Where's that at usually?
It's in the drive SGP or drive same game parlay to the left.
All right. First drive result. But there we go.
Is that minus 110 or plus? Oh my god, it's minus. Ha!
Yeah, it's in the minus. All right. So I don't think we get any no fun touchdown ones anymore. Those are long gone. So what are the
There's no Marion Hampton rushing bet?
No, I'm not seeing anything in here on props.
That's disappointing.
What is the field goals looking like? Where's like a field goal? Who wants to do a race to 20? Hold on, a race
North
to
Carolina.
20?
Yeah, North Carolina. Why is FSU only plus
Oh,
112?
you can't bet. You can't add that to the parlay. That's lame.
That's dumb. That is dumb.
Where is like field goals? We need field goals here. I think Ryan Fitzgerald gets one at home.
Up to it was up more.
It's like specials though. I don't like these specials.
Yeah, doesn't like we have any player props.
Yeah, it limits us quite a
Yeah.
bit. What about first half? Like first half total 26.5. First, wow. North Carolina in the first half to lead by at least 2.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's plus 100.
I guess.
Plus 537.
Might as well.
I mean, we don't have any prop bets. 10 gets you $53. We don't have any prop bets. I think that's what we got to roll with.
Not bad. I'll
I'm
take
fine
it.
with it.
Let's roll with it. We went 2-3 last week. Let's see if we can bounce back and do better and not lose again.
All we got, all we need, baby.
All we got, all we need.
What I need is for the season to be over.
We'll win one eventually. I think our parlay record's worse than Florida State's actual record.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, we haven't won one. We're fucking winless.
Yeah, we're losing money, VZ. We need to get a win, and I hope it's this weekend for $10 for 53. $10 for 53, baby. Let's go. Score predictions. I keep on forgetting who was
It's
last.
Dilo.
I think it's me.
Oh, it's your time to shine, baby. Try not to think about the practices you saw this week and give us a good prediction.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It was rough out there today, so this may be impacting my prediction somewhat. But it's just hard to see Florida State keeping these games close. I mean, North Carolina, really good rushing attack. We've talked about Amari Hampton. He's had over 100 rushing yards in 7 out of 8 games, and he's been very productive throughout his career at North Carolina, playing some good football at the moment. And then you look over at the defensive side of the ball. North Carolina, they give up a lot of yards, they give up a lot of points, but one thing they can do, like Logan has mentioned, is get after the passer. Yeah. And Florida State's offensive line, they haven't given us any reason to prove that they can move the ball on a bad defense. I mean, it's been a struggle throughout the whole year. I'm not sure if they could move the ball in air right now. It's been a struggle in all facets. I mean, thank God for Alex Mastermano and Ryan Fitzgerald, but I just don't see Florida State winning this one. Hopefully they'll be able to keep it competitive for a little bit, but I've got North Carolina 38, Florida State 13.
Am I up next?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Florida State got that free touchdown there at the end of the game, and so really only scored 7 points to me. And Miami's defense isn't that great. I think the pass rush from UNC is going to be a problem maker for this offensive line that I don't think is even out there anyways, and definitely going to be a concern for the quarterbacks coming in. You got to try to keep these guys healthy and got to get the run game going, but you can't run block. So, I could just sit here and just try to make up some things in Wonderland and oh my God, my bad. And Willy Wonka land, but that's just not going to be the case for FSU here. It's a reality. This team doesn't improve week by week, and I think this one could. This is going to solidify Florida State versus Charleston Southern as being the only option of getting a second win this season. I got Florida State losing this game 38-16.
Take my prediction.
16. They're not scoring 16.
38-16.
Just take my prediction. Add 3 to it. Good job.
That's my prediction.
And once again,
it's my prediction, and you stole it.
Once again, he did not follow his own parlay.
This was all for my
he spent 5 minutes debating on what the point total should be and still didn't follow it.
I got to have different things here. I can't all just align on one. Hey, I was right. Last week, it didn't go over.
Listen.
Oh.
Mac Brown has never beaten Florida State.
Oh, yeah. Can you give the spiritual
0-11.
0-11. Florida State guy. Went to Florida State. Mike Norvell has great history playing against North Carolina. Had that upset against number 5 UNC in year 1, I believe. Or was it year 2?
Year 1.
Year 1. Then went on the road the next year.
Yep.
Yeah. Went on the road, beat him in year 2. But that UNC team wasn't as good. So history's on Florida State's side. But if there's one thing we know about the 2024 Florida State Seminoles football team, they stink. And they're going to do whatever is in their capabilities to mess up every history possible. So, yes, North Carolina, they're allowing 400 yards of offense per game. Florida State will maybe have 220. I will take UNC winning in a low-scoring game. I don't think they'll score over 30 in this. I think it'll be 23-10 Tar Heels.
And Florida State... if Florida State doesn't get 300 yards of total offense in this game, it will be 12 games without crossing that mark. An entire regular season worth of watching a
You don't have to say if. We can just go ahead and say it's going to be 12 straight.
Damn.
I'll leave the door open for that 1% chance, but
Wonderland, baby.
That door is shut with titanium plating around the frame.
I'm changing mine, though. I'm taking away a touchdown. I am.
From who?
From North Carolina. 31-16.
There's no way Florida State scores 16 points.
It's going to be magical. It's going to be magical. It's going to be special teams. It's going to be some weird, just really something weird that happened, a magical experience that we're all going to enjoy. But, yeah, I don't really think they're going to score 16 points, but I'm just dreaming it. I'm just kind of making up stuff at this point.
I mean, if you're gonna dream, at least dream for higher expectations. That's not much of a dream. It's like a daydream in the middle of a nap. That's what that is.
And those sometimes can keep you overthinking things for the rest of the day. So I don't want to do that.
And you just overthought Florida State scoring 16 points. They're not scoring 16 points.
It's like Deshaun Watson, daydreaming he's at a massage, but then he wakes up and he's in the middle of an Achilles repair.
Okay.
Jeez, yeah.
All right.
It's tough. You don't want that.
No, you don't. Anesthesia. You're waking up. Where am I? Oh man.
All right.
Thought he was at the massage parlor again. But yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna wrap up the show. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Smack that like button.
No basketball uniforms.
Oh my gosh, that is.
You said it. You did say it at the beginning of the show. That's the only reason I'm saying it.
Sorry, I've got Dustin. He wants to see his Celtics win. I'm a winning NFL. I got a winning NFL team right now.
And a winning NBA team right now. Shout out to Mavs.
Yep, shout out to the Mavs, baby. Shout out Mavs. Starting off pretty good. Scared me. Luka's injury got me nervous. But let's check out these black FSU basketball uniforms because basketball season is coming. And I tell you what, Leonard Hamilton, they start off with a win.
Not only is it coming,
I'm dialed
Not only is it coming, the first game is on Monday. We are here.
We're back, baby.
These
Now it's-
uniforms are not here, though. These suck.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
This is the uniform?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh, no. Let's go to the second. Maybe it's the second photo we need. Why is that red?
They would have been. I think it's just the lighting. Honestly.
Why is the garnet not the same amount?
No, they're different colors. I don't. What's up with the different color thing?
You know,
like it's down here.
It's like the climb. It's the climb trajectory. If you start from left to right.
Listen.
Not a good thing to have on you right now.
They at least incorporated the tribal print, something we were complaining about from the white and garnet. I was glad to see that. I actually don't hate the shorts. Oddly, I feel like I should hate them, but I don't.
I do. We'll take it. I'll take care of it for you.
The jerseys are a swing and a miss. Like just the one tiny Seminole head above the number is kind of cheesy to me. And all you had to do was put Florida State on it, and it would have been so much better. But just the tiny Seminole head, swing and a miss.
Are you talking about like there in the middle? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Why won't it show?
Your screen's not showing
up.
Thank you, Sean. Oh, the video. That's what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, the small logo in the middle. I don't know. They just seem cheap.
Looks like a middle school basketball uniform.
I saw someone on Twitter say the shorts look like a bad Coliseum brand ripoff, and I thought that was pretty accurate. But I don't hate them. I weirdly don't hate them.
I'm interested to see how they look like in game, away from photo shoots and all this kind of stuff.
I will say, seeing the photos from the first exhibition game last week, the white uniforms look a little bit better in person.
Okay, that's good.
I still don't like the mini spear, and I wish it said Florida State instead of FSU. But
were you in Tallahassee?
No, but I've seen the photos.
They look in person.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Person, yeah.
Oh. You know what I mean. They look
you
better.
Said they look.
Dude, yeah. I am tired. And we're talking about Florida State football for an hour.
Now VC's.
You said it.
Dustin's corrected VC on his statements. Oh yeah, this is where we're at, baby. But I don't know. I would like to see him in person more than anything, and then I'm not a huge fan of the shorts. You got me liking the whole big feather down and everything, but I like the trim. I won't be able to see this. I can't see. I want more where this stands out a little bit. Let's get some gold.
It's the tribal print.
Yeah, and I don't know. Not a major fan, but hey, we'll see what they do. First game, who are they playing?
Northern Kentucky.
Ooh, okay. This could be a good game.
It probably will be, actually. NKU had some talent last year.
Okay. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Hit the like button before you leave. Subscribe to us if you listen to an audio version. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Tons of YouTube videos going out from press conference stuff. And we got some clips from our show with the hot topics that we talk about weekly on here. But we'll be here for our instant reaction Saturday after FSU versus North Carolina at 3:30. So stay tuned for that. And then we're back at it next Wednesday. Show goes on nonetheless, even though this team is 1-7. We keep on rolling, babies. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Have a great rest of y'all's weekend, and we will see you on Saturday evening.